we're sitting in Peace and Friendship Park right now, where the crowd is around us getting their faces painted or having some snacks or things like that. We got here via the waterfront. So we started out at the Wave down at Sackville Landing, where we had 35 different groups all lined up with giant puppets and painted canoes and drums and stilts and kids and just an amazing array of humans. And of course the water walkers, who began with a water ceremony down by the water to sing to the water and to offer our thanks for the water. And then they led the parade all along the waterfront, which was amazing. And I think maybe my favorite moment was I had paused to watch the parade for a little while, and Samba Nova, which is this 20-piece drum group, was the last group in the parade, except that as they went past me, I realized everyone who had come down to watch the parade had just filled in and joined the parade. So there's like another 200 people following the drums along, joining in the parade. I was like totally blown away. And then it all culminated with this amazing collaboration between all of the drummers down by the water, drumming together, and people were dancing. It was just totally uplifting and joyful and beautiful, which is exactly the intention of the day, and I'm just thrilled. So this was the People's Parade for Life on Earth. And it's the People's Parade because there's no businesses, there's no corporate sponsors, there's no politicians. It's just people. People from all different communities, different walks of life coming together. And coming together for life on Earth. Because we're in this moment, this incredible moment of global crisis, where we have these different possibilities of futures before us. And how things are going to go depends on everything that happens now, and it depends on all of us. And life on Earth really is the central question. And that's something that I think we can all get behind. Everyone has a different experience of the crisis that's going on. For some people, it started about 500 years ago when my ancestors arrived here. That's when their apocalypse started. For some of us, we've been privileged enough to not be affected till now, and we're starting to notice the heat waves in the summertime and more of the forest fires, and all of the inequalities that are in society affect how we experience this crisis. But we are ultimately all in it together when it comes to life on Earth. The other aspect of life on Earth is that we had the more than human world represented in the parade with puppets and costumes and signs. So we had some giant moose and beavers and deer and just these amazing sort of fantastical creatures to evoke those other members of our family, our relations, all of our relations beyond just people. So that's what the People's Parade for Life on Earth is about. I had read an article by a prominent black woman scientist from the US named Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, where she was talking about how environmentalists all need to be invested in addressing systemic racism. And obviously, we all need to be invested in addressing systemic racism for its own right. But she made a really interesting observation. She said, do you have any idea how much our communities would be showing up for the Earth if we didn't have to deal with all the stuff we're currently dealing with fighting for our lives? And that really struck me, because when there are urgent issues that people are facing in their lives and in their communities that are very immediate, it does feel like a luxury to think about what is the Earth that we're leaving for future generations, what is the state of the water. But these are things that really, they do affect all of us. And I think that some folks in the environmental community have been sort of tactless often when we say, oh, everyone should come and join this cause because this affects everybody and we should all be on this train. Without understanding those systemic barriers and systemic realities that people are living through that might affect their ability to show up. Or they might be fighting for their right to come home alive at night, or for their daughters not to go missing. You know, those are like really real things. And then also, it's usually communities of color, Indigenous communities, Black communities, who actually are on the forefront of the front lines of environmental fights. fighting for clean water, fighting against pipelines going through their territory, fighting for just safe places to live. All of that, I think we in the sort of mainstream environmental movement need to start recognizing that as environmentalism. It's still so separated, the way that our societies are, the way our communities are, the way our organizing is. And that's really a shame, because I think if we can figure out how to actually work together, how to actually support each other, that would be so incredibly powerful. That would be such a blow to the status quo. There would be nothing we couldn't do if we could figure that out, if we could actually learn how to not continue to perpetuate all of the oppressions that we carry around with us, if we could learn how to listen to each other, how to respect each other across cultures, and how to understand the fact that all of our struggles are interrelated. If your issue is housing, that's a climate issue. How are we going to survive a climate apocalypse, a climate catastrophe, if people don't have a roof over their head? All of it is interconnected, and it all comes back to water. It all comes back to having food to eat, clean air, having somewhere safe to live, and having a community that knows how to support each other. I think for a long time we've given away that responsibility to these bigger systems of society, and those systems are becoming increasingly fragile. They're buckling under the stress because of this worldview that the land is just there to be extracted from, people are just there to be extracted from, everything is just stuff, the earth is our supply house and our sewer, and it's all about infinite growth. That's reaching its limits. It's reaching its limits now, and it can't continue that much longer, and we're gonna need each other. We're gonna need community level connections, community level organizing, and the kinds of relationships where we can actually take care of our own needs and take care of each other's needs through mutual aid and community care and building structural care on a level that is resilient and can weather the changes that are ahead, where we're going to need to think really carefully about food security and disaster preparedness and how do we take care of folks who are disabled. We really need to build those relationships across communities and across all these lines that can divide us if we're going to make it. It's absolutely essential. And so that is in the back of my mind in organizing this parade, hoping that this is a place where people can meet people they've never met before, can see themselves as part of something bigger that maybe they hadn't understood, that they were part of something bigger with someone else that maybe they didn't relate to before, that we have this greater sense of identity and responsibility together as human beings, as community here in this place, and following the teachings of the Olnuk, the Mi'kmaq folks who, despite all odds, have not lost their teachings, have not lost the understanding that the land is alive and the water is alive, and we need to have a reciprocal relationship of respect with the land and with the water and with all of our relations. That is the understanding that we need to be seeded throughout all of our communities and all of society. It's the only way. It's the only way forward.